One thing, again, always make sure you know what the main idea of the text is. If you don't know that, you don't have a Bible study. Doesn't matter what you're trying to get at. If you don't know the main idea of the text, especially if you're looking at a chunk of passage, you don't know the main idea, there's no point of going from there. So get the main idea down. Second of all, write out what lesson objectives you're trying to get at. And I usually like the sentence, the way it finishes. As a result of this lesson, students will learn da-da-da-da-da. Or students will be able to da-da-da-da-da. Right? So write it specifically, what do you want people in your group to get at the end of the day? Third thing is, again, what do you need? Write a list as you're going through your lesson. Exactly, do you need paper? Do you need pens? Do you need Bibles? Do you need Legos? Do you need, do you need Skittles? Do you need whatever? Right? List all that stuff out. Focus. Sometimes it's good to get some kind of activity that gets someone into something. So let's say if you're doing the whole, ladder story, maybe a focus activity could be, I'm trying to think off the top of my head now. Wood? That might be an idea. Build an altar, right? Here's a bunch of material. Build an altar, right? That's an idea. That's a focus. Something like that. Good one. Good job. You want to start teaching now? You don't get my paycheck though. All right. Second part is discover. This is the meat and potatoes, right? This is when you begin to delve in. This is when you begin to take a passage and really work at it, right? It's almost like baking. This is like the dough part. Like you begin to knead at it and work at it, and maybe it's like a pizza that you fan it out, follow it up, put it back together again, span it out, throw it up, and really work at it and to see what's going to come out of it. And then response. So, okay, now that you've worked at this text as a group, what do you hope, how will it now play out in someone's life? Right? So let's say with this whole Elijah story, right? You begin to dig at it. What was Elijah going through? How does it feel when it seems like you're alone against all these people? Right? And why did Elijah somehow seem so confident? Right? Because he knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that those guys were wrong, God was right. And so maybe sometimes in class, I remember in grade 12, I was in a Catholic school, grade 12 religion, right? I was known as the Baptist in the class. Because everyone else was Catholic and I'm the Baptist, right? And I remember every so often we get into discussions and every so often they ask you, well, what would a Baptist think? Right, kind of thing. And you're sitting there and you're like, oh, okay. In those situations, what do you do? How do you begin to answer that? How do you begin to stand up when it seems like everyone else may or may not make sense? And someone says to you, what do you think? Or what should you do? Or what should I do? Right? So that's kind of like the response area. How does this now apply to me in my life, in my context? That's the whole point of response. An assignment. Sometimes maybe there's something that they can do at another time on their own. So for instance, if you remember way back to the first training session, when we talked about the whole awareness exam and stuff, right? That was like an assignment thing. That's okay. Remember I told back then. I said, okay, get to in your groups of 4 that you had back then. For the following week, I want you guys to hook up either on Facebook or IM or by phone, God forbid, or or in person, whatever, and actually ask each other these questions, right? When did God seem most distant this week, and when did God seem closest this week, right? And that was an assignment. Go and try that out and see how it plays out, right? That's how you apply it. And then this is for yourselves, is at the end of the day, evaluate, right? What went wrong? What went right? What can you improve on next time? So again, if you try something like this again, what can you do better?